The first teaser trailer for Invincible Season 3 has dropped, and considering I did this for Season 2, I might as well do it for Season 3. Let's take a look at the trailer, break down what we can see, any Easter eggs, and then I'll also make some predictions about what I think is going to happen in Season 3. But first, today's video is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code KEYISSUES today to get 10% off all your favorite flavors like Goof Juice or Raw Meat, which is actually fruit flavored. GamerSupps makes great caffeinated and non-caffeinated gaming supplements, but maybe you're not thirsty. Boom! Gamer Soups in chicken or beef. I just have chicken, but it's pretty good. And if it passes the rigorous taste testing of my 5-year-old, it's definitely good enough for you. So thanks again to GamerSupps for sponsoring this video, and remember to use code KEYISSUES for 10% off your GamerSupps purchase today. So the first trailer for Invincible Season 3 dropped, and it feels pretty familiar. Clearly modeled off the teaser trailer for Season 2. And these are fun teasers and are probably going to happen before every new season. In fact, it would be pretty cool, in my opinion, to see the diner reflect the state of the Invincible world. Like, minor spoilers, but what I mean by that is it would be cool if there was some slightly damaged elements after the events of the Invincible War, or even changed completely later on in the series when Mark goes off-world. I wouldn't be surprised if the diner shifts to the one on Telestria, the homeworld of the Coalition of Worlds. Coalition of Planets, I never remember what it is, and I'm too lazy to look it up. Replacing Alan is now Cecil, discussing with Mark exactly what the heck he has been doing with his time following the climactic final showdown with Angstrom Levy in Season 2. Oh, by the way, as this video goes on, there are going to be a ton of cards up at the top so you can click on them to learn about the comic history of these characters as a refresher, so feel free to click any of those so that my children can eat this month. But before we go any farther into this conversation, I want to point out a quick Easter egg. In Season 2's teaser scene in the diner, you could clearly see a young Adam Eve sitting with Dr. Brandyworth, the scientist featured prominently in her backstory that was instrumental in her development in life path. In this Season 3 trailer, you can actually see a young Rexplode with Steven Erikson, and this ties into the backstory of Rexplode and how he was essentially used as a government weapon for years before joining the teen team. So to me, this indicates that it might be possible that around December we get a Rexplode standalone one-shot exploring his backstory, similar to how we got the Invincible Presents Adam Eve standalone a few months before Season 2 dropped. Now let's talk about what's happening to his right. In the teaser trailer for Season 2, you can actually clearly see Angstrom Levy, the main protagonist of Season 2, and a villain with deep personal grudges against Mark, who grew to hate the young hero after a horrific accident led to his disfigurement. In the Season 3 teaser, you can see a blonde-haired man who appears to be Powerplex, another villain with deep-seated hatred for Mark stemming from an incident that caused the death of his family. Powerplex was a hero that lost his family during a conflict with Mark that kind of went awry. I will have a full breakdown for him if that is indeed him and he makes his debut in this season, because it's a really super dark thing I don't want to get into right now. Anyway, back in the main Season 3 trailer, Mark and Cecil discuss the impending return of another Viltrumite, following the ominous warning by Viltrumite baddie / horrible person Anessa in Season 2. Now keep in mind that Mark has been charged with essentially conquering Earth by General Krieg, a task that was bestowed upon him following the ass-whipping placed on Omni-Man during the Battle of Season 2 on the planet Thraxa. The Viltrumite that they are alluding to is the Wilford Brimley of the Cosmos, Conquest, and so far we've only seen him briefly in a flashback sequence, but Conquest is a character that we will for sure have a full breakdown of when the new season drops and he's introduced in the show. I mean, come on, you know we gotta farm that SEO, guys. But Conquest is actually universally regarded as one of the most deranged and dangerous Viltrumites in the galaxy. Conquest is also a fan favorite due to the absolutely brutal battle he has with Mark in the aftermath of the Invincible War. Now, if they do this animated fight similar to how it's done in the comics, this is gonna make the battle between Mark and Omni-Man look like nothing. This is absolutely one of the most brutal fights in the history of the comic, and I anticipate that if it's done right, it could be the most brutal fight in animated history. I honestly cannot wait to show it to my 8-year-old and my 5-year-old. Just kidding, please don't call social services. Cecil spends some time chastising Mark for his lack of preparation for Conquest's arrival, and he starts grilling Mark on exactly what he's done to improve as a hero and effectively become Earth's strongest hero now that Omni-Man is left. There is also a fun callback to the second season sizzle reel where the production team reviews everything it takes to get an animated show out before Cecil stops him dead in his tracks, and this is just a fun gag designed to poke fun at the looming concern with how long seasons of these shows have taken to come out. There's also a script here that shows a fight between Mark and Giant, where they battle within a giant crater, and for those of you who don't remember, Giant is a character that made their first appearance in issue 42 of the comic. He was also featured in the show very briefly, but it is eventually revealed that Giant is a child in a monstrous body who was transformed into like a hulking monstrosity after his grandmother used magic to teleport them to an alternate dimension. There, he got transformed by a wizard into like a giant, but he's basically a giant kid. It's also pretty cool that we see some concept art for Mark's iconic blue suit, which is his second suit, the one that he wears predominantly throughout the middle part of the comic series. He does eventually return to the classic yellow and blue one, but this blue suit's going to be around for a while. After relentless grilling, Cecil mentions to Mark that the GDA is going to take over Mark's training, which does also happen in the comics. Mark realizes that there's basically no one on Earth that can push him to his limits, so they are focusing on training Mark so he can become strong enough to battle the impending invasion of other Viltrumites. While Mark does get significantly stronger during this portion of the story in the comics, it's probably best to devote a whole video to this, as there's multiple factors that weigh in on how Mark is able to improve drastically in such a short period of time. The trailer ends with the final reveal of Season 3's release date, which we were all hoping to get in the first place, and that date is February 6, which means that it's the perfect show to watch with your Valentine's date the next week. They also made sure to let the fans know that there won't be a mid-season break, which is great news to everybody. Also, considering they have been greenlit for future seasons, we already know that production on those seasons has begun, so that the turnaround time for them is shorter. As any anime fan can tell you, animation takes time, so it's great to see them getting to work well in advance, so fans aren't left high and dry for years at a time. One Punch Man! Sorry, there's something in my throat here. Now, just as I did with Season 2's trailer breakdown, I want to briefly cover what I anticipate will happen this season and where it will end. In terms of major arcs, I think the first half of the season is going to focus on the build-up to the Invincible War. There will probably be some minor battles and plot points focusing on Angstrom Levy, mostly as he travels around the multiverse recruiting alternate dimension Mark Graysons. In the comic books, the actual Invincible War battle itself is only one issue, so I guess that it would probably make sense for that episode to be around episode 5, which would allow us to have Conquest come in and make his debut in maybe the end of episode 5 into episode 6, which would put that brutal battle taking place across episodes 7 and 8, ending with the characters in a state of life and death following the finale. Now, we do know that Jeffrey Dean Morgan, otherwise known as Negan, and multiple other characters across dozens of other franchises, has signed on to do a voice for Invincible, so it makes sense that Jeffrey is probably going to be the voice of Conquest, or it's also possible that he could be the voice of Thrag, even though I don't really hear his Thrag's voice as Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but I know that he's involved. So that would put us around issue 65 of the comics for where this season ends, or a little under the halfway point of the total comic book series. In terms of emotional arcs, I think the main focus will be on Mark and Eve's falling in love and Mark's struggle with helping to raise and mentor Oliver, his half-brother. Following the breakup of Mark and everybody's favorite character, Amber, we should see Mark and Eve get together fairly early in the season, as they've been together for a while by the time of the Invincible War. I also anticipate a large portion of this season will see Mark at odds with Oliver, who he's training to become a hero. This ultimately leads to Mark and Oliver kind of not really getting along a lot, as Oliver is very aggressive in his youth due to his upbringing and his advanced intellect at a young age, and his powers unlocking at a much younger age than Mark's did. After all, Oliver is present during the events of the Invincible War, so it makes sense for him to be in action by that portion, so we should see him heavily involved in the first few episodes of the season. And that is about it for this video. We're really excited for Invincible to be coming back. It's been a great series for our channel's growth and something that we're really passionate about. It's probably the reason that you found us in the first place. That being said, I really want to know what you guys are most interested to see in the next season. Is it Mark and Eve's relationship? Is it brutal battles? What are you guys looking forward to? As always, this has been Nick with Key Issues. Thank you guys for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe and do all that other crap that YouTubers ask you to do. Thanks again for watching, and remember the motto, Invincible over everything.